Good morning, all. This is a message for the ladies specifically. However, it's also for our men. We have been hearing, or I've been hearing, and been asked lots of questions just recently to do with why are there so many couples splitting up? Why are there so many marriages ending? Why are there so many women being unfaithful to their husbands and husbands being unfaithful to their wives? Somebody passed a comment that if you go and look on Tinder, the amount of married women that are have got their profiles up there and are actively seeking is just absolutely sickening. Now, I don't know the truth in these things because I'm not in those circles. However, I am aware of a few people that I know whose marriages have come to an end, people who are having relationship issues, and some have even come and sought help from me to help them to get through what's going on. So I just wanted to pop on here today and share a few of my perspectives of what's potentially going on. Life isn't easy, and it's not easy when we're on our own, and it's not easy when we're together with somebody, because we're human and things happen, stress levels rise. If we're fortunate enough to have children, they add another mix into the whole stress levels and conflict and that sort of thing. So any relationship takes a lot of work, and especially a relationship that you want to work. It requires effort, and it requires time, it requires understanding, and it requires patience. So one of the things that I notice, and I've experienced for myself, it's very, very easy for us as women to lose our spark, to feel like we've lost our love. It's very easy to lose our connection with somebody else, especially when life gets busy. And add into the mix that men are not taught to understand women and our monthly cycles and how they screw with us, and I'll mention more about this in a minute. And there seems to be a culture of old that instead of talking about it and trying to understand, that it just gets put in the too hard basket and it gets ignored, or there's lots of accusations that get thrown around. So every month, women menstruate, and it's a perfectly natural, normal thing. I mean, how do we have children if we don't have this life-giving blood that nourishes the fertilised egg, or that actually is the fertilised egg, or sorry, that is the egg that gets fertilised. And when we don't become pregnant, this egg passes out in the form of our period. Now, along with this, we've got hormones that tend to wave and fluctuate through our body at various times of the month, and it's constantly changing. And I liken it to us being hijacked at various times of the month. We're hijacked by different hormones. Now, you know, and your partner knows, that Somebody can say something to you today and you'll be absolutely fine with it. Next week, or even a day or two later, they can say exactly the same thing to you in exactly the same tone, and you will go from 0 to witch in 0.5 of a second, and you can feel absolutely devastated. Now, that's nothing personal. It's not your fault. It's not their fault. They're not out to get you. It's the hormones inside of you that have changed the chemistry inside and caused this response to come to you. Now, this is a big part of issues in relationships because women don't understand it and men don't understand it. Now, if you were more aware of your cycle and how the hormones affect you and how you react in those different stages throughout the month, you would be saying to yourself, okay, so this week I'm coming up to the time that I'm not going to be rational, that I'm going to fly off the handle at the drop of a hat. This too will pass. We can warn our significant other and our kids and say, look, this is where I'm at this week. If I react in this way, don't take it personally. This too will pass and I'll come right. So please just be patient with me. And the key here is that you need to have patience with yourself as a woman, because you've been taken over by these hormones and you're not who you normally, you're not responding how you normally would. Now, the hormones are part of us. So the other thing that impacts this whole hormonal cycle as well, and impacts our mental well-being, is our diet and what we're eating, because the more and more research that's coming out today about our gut and brain connection is pointing more and more that the stability of our mind has a direct relationship to this types of food that we're eating and how healthy our gut microbiome is. So it's worth understanding a little bit about that as well. And another thing too that goes on is that we tend to have exceptionally high expectations of ourselves as women. We think we're superwoman, and this isn't an issue most of the time. However, when we've been hijacked by our hormones, or we're stressed, or we're feeling that life is out to get us, this will impact us in quite a big way. Now, it only takes a little bit. So what I'm wondering what's going on at the moment is that the world as a whole has got some enormous changes happening at the moment. People are in conflict. People are living in absolute fear. A lot of people feel that they're living in isolation, even though we've got so much to connect us with. And there's just so much externally that's impacting us, and we've forgotten a lot of core stuff to remain centered, to actually look realistically at things and say, well, yeah, that might be happening there. However, is that what I need to be frightened of? Is that what I need to be worrying myself about? So there's lots and lots to learn about keeping our mind focused on what's important to us. And the other thing is that we're looking, so many people, women, are looking for who they really are. Now, that's inside of us, it's not outside of us. It's not to do with our hairstyle, our makeup, our clothes, how slim we are. They all impact us, but the core being, the essence of who we are, is who we were when we came into this world. Free, happy, vivacious, fun-loving, all of those things that a child is. And as life goes on and different experiences happen to us, that it programs us certain ways, especially if we had parents and things that happen to us in life that set us up for thinking differently and thinking that we're not who we are, etc. So coming back to the whole relationship connection and issues that are going on, I wonder whether what happens is that we get hijacked by our hormones. We react often in ways that are confrontational and have lots of accusations. We fly off the handle. Those around us take it personally. We go into guilt as women because we shouldn't have done that or said that. And we beat ourselves up about it. And then we get into that whole bully, victim, martyr cycle. And we just continue that instead of coming out of it after a few days. And then as time goes on, those feelings compound. We get hijacked by the next round of hormones that come flooding through our body, and it sends us into the spiral down. So nothing works, nothing our partner, husband, significant other does or says works. They feel frustrated and helpless. They ask us what's wrong, and we say nothing because we don't know what's wrong. We just know that we're feeling really, really sucky and awful. And we get this vicious cycle. We end up as women feeling numb and cold and distant, unloved and unloving inside, and things just go from bad to worse. We end up resenting ourselves, we end up resenting our husbands, partners, significant others, and we end up resenting our kids if we've got kids. And before we know it, our relationship has fallen off the rails. And, you know, it needn't be like this. If you have come to a place that you find yourself sitting in the seat that I've been describing of these things that are happening, and your relationship is either on the rocks, headed for the rocks, or falling off the rocks, it can change. It takes some work. It takes a lot of understanding and patience, but very, very quickly it can change. And I'm proof of this. I know this stuff inside out because I lived it. And when we have spent 2, 5, 10 years with somebody and this sort of thing happens, we begin to wonder, I mean, I was 24 years, we begin to wonder whether it is ever possible for us to feel happy again, and we wonder whether the only option we've got is to leave and to find somebody else. Let me tell you that if you do leave, that's entirely your choice. However, if you don't address the stuff that has started this whole process And while it looks like it's the husband partner, while it looks like it's the kids, while it looks like it's your work and all of those other things, the buck actually stops with us. And for a starting to learn and understand who we are and finding our respect and acceptance and happiness inside of us. And then as we start to make some changes and find these things, our husbands or partners will come on board, because all they want for us is to be happy. And it gives them great pride and satisfaction to know that they're a part of our happiness. And one of the things that conflicts so much is when they see we're so unhappy and miserable, they feel that they're responsible for fixing us. And when they can't, they blame themselves. So they go into that whole bully, victim, martyr cycle. And we get even more conflict. But when they start seeing us becoming more happier, becoming more accepting of ourselves, more accepting of what's going on around us, they actually start stepping up. And it's a really awesome thing to see and to experience. So when we've been in a relationship for reasonably long term, we've established a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of water that goes under the bridge. And we've had a lot of fun, and there's been ups and downs. And it's like, why throw that away just because we've been hijacked by hormones? Stress is happening to us, or because of the way that we're responding to situations. And we're just in a place that we don't like, and at the core it's actually about us not liking ourselves very much. So if you're finding yourself in this place, there is hope if you're willing to do a little bit of work. And the most exciting thing about starting to do some work on yourself around all this stuff is that you end up feeling so good about yourself, your life, even when times are crappy. You know that you've got this. You learn very quickly to recognize your hormonal cycle and throw your hands in the air and say, okay, this week I'm virtually going to go from 0 to witch in 0.5 of a second if somebody says or does something to me. So have a contingency plan, warn those around you, make life easier for yourself and for them, and you end up with better relationships with your friends, with other family members. But the key thing that I just love so much is that you end up with a more magical relationship with your significant other, partner or husband. And that to me is worth every bit of effort that you put in. And it's really quite awesome. So just to recap some of the things that happen. Our men just want us to be happy. They feel that they're responsible for our happiness, and when they can't fix us, when they can't make us happy, they blame themselves and they get frustrated and upset. So therefore they're going to say and do things that are going to potentially destroy what relationship that we had. We get hijacked by hormones. We are affected by stress if we haven't been taught ways to deal with it. And we don't understand what's actually going on, that we've been hijacked, how to manage it, and that. So we go into blaming everybody and everything else that's around us for our unhappiness. And we have the ability to be able to take control of that and to be happy. So my background and why I'm talking about this is because I experienced abuse between the age of 3 and 5. I had depression constantly for probably about 10 or 15 years, and postnatal depression, prenatal depression, and just ordinary depression, and I was actually medicated for some time. However, I haven't had any medication for, it would be at least 25 years. And I've managed everything naturally with essential oils and flower essences and tissue salts and some supplements, and working on myself, knowing one of the key things that was a turning point for me was a quote from Wayne Dwyer that says that if we keep on doing the same things, we're going to keep on getting the same results. And that for me was a very pivotal point, because I realised that there was something that I was doing in my life, something that I was thinking, that was keeping me stuck in the place that I was in, depressed and that sort of thing. So there was the depression, then there was the verbal and emotional abuse in my marriage for 24 years. And towards the end of that time, I suppose for the last 4 or 5 years of that, I was experiencing symptoms of MS. There were days that my legs wouldn't work properly. There was about 3 months that I couldn't dress myself properly. If I wanted to go out, I had to make sure that somebody was around to do up my bra, and an excruciating pain for at least 3 years of that. And other symptoms that I don't need to go into. So all through this, I had lots of things that I could blame for what was going on, and yet I understood that it came from inside and what my thought processes were, and who made me what I was, and that was me. I was responsible for me. I was responsible for my thoughts. I was responsible for my actions. And I was responsible for taking some steps to get myself out of that place. And I have transformed myself. I'm happy to be me. I have contributed probably 99% to transforming our relationship. So going from a relationship that I was like living in an ice cave, I might as well have had a flatmate in the house who verbally and emotionally abused me, to now having a friend, a companion, a lover, just somebody that I choose to stay with and to have a lot of fun with. So when it feels like everything's hitting the rocks, that there's no hope, I believed in myself that I needed to do everything that I possibly could to create a relationship that I really wanted to be in, and you can do that too. So you've been hijacked by hormones, your husband, significant other doesn't understand because he hasn't been taught, and because you don't understand, you can't explain it. We get into a cycle of external stresses, the internal stresses, and they just go round and round and compound and get worse. So if you want out, if you want a different reality than what you're experiencing, and you're keen to have a conversation with me, I'll let you message me through here, and you can also get in touch with me through my email, which is erina@erinaoliver.com. So Erina is spelled ERENA. So that's erina@erinaoliver.com, and just mention that you've listened to this video and you would like the link for a free 15-minute conversation with me. So yeah, go well and have an awesome day, and may your life become even more awesome. And yeah, we may meet again. Thank you for listening. Bye.